my dears. Hello, Raul. Wow, prompt. I love it. I hope this finds you well. It's always a highlight of my week to connect with you live on Thursdays. We've got a Thank You Thursday coming up, but first to share something that's been a very powerful practice and understanding for me. And I'll give you a little anecdote for why I knew this was what to share today. Hi. And as usual, I'm going to share my and I will respond to your wonderful comments, but I love to see the flow. I love to see who's there, and I'll respond when I'm done so that I can keep the through line here so that if you want to watch it again, you can. I went to the grocery store today, and the man checking out my groceries, checking me out, checking me through, I asked, as I usually do, "How are you doing today?" And I ask it in a way that I really mean it. And he said, "Perfect." And I said, "Great. Can't get any better than that." And he said, "It's always perfect. People just don't realize that." I said, "You're right. Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for that." So when I felt in meditation, I'd remembered this page in my journal, and I'd felt that this would be the thing to share today. And then just in case it wasn't, I do what I do, and I close my eyes, and I just pointed to a spot in my journal, and I opened it up to that page. So here we go. A lot of people have asked me about frequency, and this is going to get a little bit technical, but I'll share my current understanding that's been helpful. And as always, take what resonates with you, adapt it to your own understanding, and leave anything that does not resonate with you. So it's been helpful to think of any experience as holistic. And a way to think about holistic that's kind of graspable to the brain is to think in 3 dimensions. So we'll think of a sphere. And one of the spheres we're all pretty familiar with is the Earth. So we all have, when we say Earth, we all have our own personal idea of what the Earth is, our own reality for what the Earth is. And that's your own unique perspective. But from the perspective of the sun, the Earth is always illuminated. It's always filled with light, it's always day, it's always summer, any other words you want to put in there. The Earth doesn't have any intrinsic value that it is. Any word that it is and anything else doesn't apply. We invented words, so we put them on there in order to understand this experience that we're having. Okay, so we're coming back to the Earth. So from the perspective of the sun, the Earth is always light, filled with light. Now from the opposite perspective, on the other side of the Earth from the sun, the Earth is always completely dark. It's always cold. Any other words you want to put in there, bleak, scary, shadowy, whatever. So those are all perceptions of, or perspectives of, the holistic experience that is Earthness. From the inside of the Earth, it's a very different story. From out here on this side of the planet, it's a different perspective. Out here on this side of the planet, it's a different perspective. Is that making sense? Okay. So if we take anything else, we can put it into the same model to understand. So if you want to take maybe... well, we'll take a state of being. So what else, when I think of cold and dark, I think of fear, that fear. So from the perspective of fear, that might be one perspective of an experience that we'll find a name for, okay? And maybe on the other side of this perspective of fear might be excitement. It might be, or enthusiasm. So it's actually a very similar frequency. It's a very similar feeling in your body, but just a different frequency. So if I raise the frequency of fear, I might recognize, oh, those same things, the heightened heart rate, the breath, that's coming maybe shallow, those same things are very similar to excitement. So if I can shift that, if I can raise that vibration into, oh, well, maybe I'm scared of this because I haven't done it before. and I'm trying to protect myself from doing this thing that actually really means a lot to me, and so maybe I could get excited about it. And that's another perception, or perspective. It's the same. You can use those words interchangeably. Okay? Is that making sense? So that helps me to know that, okay, what I'm feeling right now isn't just the way things are. It's how I'm seeing the way things are. It's the lens that I'm seeing the way things are through. It's my perspective. And I can change that. I can choose that. And yeah, and it helps me to first notice, okay, I'm feeling some judgment. Maybe I'm having some judgment about myself. Okay, so rather than just stay in it and keep judging myself as being, say, not pretty enough, I could stay there, that's fine, but it's not that the truth is I'm not pretty enough. The truth is I am me, and right now I'm seeing that through the perspective of not being pretty enough. So if I can look then, okay, and can notice, okay, I'm in this judgment place. What's the larger experience here? I'm viewing my exterior. So the experience of my body, of my exterior, I'm viewing through this perception, this perspective of not pretty enough. If I want to shift that, maybe I could have a little compassion for me. Here I am. I'm the way I am. It's not going to change. I can change certain things about it. But maybe I could have a little compassion or a little fascination. Huh, nobody else on the planet looks like me. That's interesting. That's unique. Maybe, who knows? Maybe I could be beautiful. And for me, meditation really helps me to shift that perspective. So maybe having some compassion, knowing it's okay to feel those feelings, and then see if I can shift that perspective. Maybe I can have some compassion. Maybe I can enjoy my uniqueness, or enjoy the experience of feeling ugly for that moment or not pretty enough for that moment, and know that really those are just perspectives of me. So I can choose, well, I am that I am, as I think Popeye would say, I am that I am. Is that making sense? We get to choose. So it's helpful for me to realize that whatever viewpoint I'm having isn't the reality. That's my viewpoint. And if I don't like my viewpoint right now, if I don't like the reality, perfectly imperfect, exactly, Zach. If I don't like the reality that I'm thinking is out there, I can shift that. So some helpful, great, I'm so glad it makes sense to you. Yay. So if you want to think of it in a linear way, you can think of it as there's a low vibration frequency, like fear would be a low vibration frequency. It feels very reductive and like I'm retreating into myself. And a high vibration frequency would be that elation, or that joy, or that bliss, or that trust. So maybe for fear, it might be enthusiasm, and then that would be a higher frequency. Maybe for feeling lonely, if I'm feeling lonely and separate, I can recognize, oh, I'm having a perception that I'm separate. But what do we know, y'all? We are connected. Oh, right. We are connected. So that was a perception that I was having of feeling alone and separate. But is that the reality? No. So if I want to change that, if I want to feel differently, we are connected, says Peter. Then I can look at that and go, oh, feeling lonely is a desire for union. Well, rather than sit back and desire union, I can experience union. Same word as yoga. Yoga means union. Maybe I can do a meditation, or maybe I can call a friend, or do something that helps me feel connected in a healthy way. Yay! So I have a little acronym because I love acronyms to help with this. And the acronym is NICE. The N stands for notice. I can notice, well, the state of being that I'm in is not my favorite. I can identify the larger experience that I'm having a perception of. Like in the example of judgment, maybe I could call that a viewpoint on understandingness. So I can go, well, rather than be in judgment, I can be in compassion. You know, I can look at, oh, there's a choice there. On the other side, I can choose another part of that same thread of understanding. And then I can choose the frequency I would desire, I would rather have. Well, compassion is a really happy frequency to feel. And then I can experience it. There are lots of ways to do that. As I mentioned, meditation, dancing, hanging out with friends, call someone up, cry if you need to cry, tend to your garden, go out in nature. Maybe you guys have some ideas of some ways that you like to raise your frequency. Exercise is good. So these aren't, in other videos I talk about ways to shift, you know, because we can get into habitual patterns of being in certain states that feel like the reality because we're used to them. So there are amazing practices for shifting the pattern of staying in a particular state. This doesn't say like, all I need to do is shift my frequency into happiness and then I'll be happy forever and everything will be perfect. Because then something comes along and maybe our perspective shifts. But it's a helpful way. I think Einstein said, I'm going to paraphrase here, but you can't solve a problem from the same mind that created it. So we need to change our mind about the problem before we can see a solution. So when I have a different perspective, a different frequency, something will occur to me that didn't occur to me in that other state. Even the word problem, y'all, that's a choice to see something as a problem. It's not necessarily a problem, it's a constellation of circumstances. So if I choose to see it as an opportunity, I might, rather than be fearful about it, I might be excited about it. Yay. Okay, so share with me if you have any thoughts, if you have any things that are helpful to you. Remember, that was nice. Notice it. Identify what the larger experience is. Choose the frequency you'd like, the perspective or the frequency you'd like to experience, and then express it. A lot of times if you express it, you'll feel it. You know, it's the whole thing. If you smile, you'll feel happy. Deep breaths are always great to take. Awesome, Peter, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and that's because it changes my frequency, changes the vibration I'm putting out. If I'm more calm, I can perceive more options. Yeah. We'll do a Q&A in a moment here. But I just wanted to see if there was any tag on here. Okay, so if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe on the channel so that you'll get the notification because I'm about to end this video, so it'll stay shorter, and then I'll start a new one, and I'll answer your questions. I have a Thank You Thursday from Peter we're going to read. Yay. I'll see you soon, my dears. We are connected. You are perfect, and so is life. Mwah! Bye for now. See you soon.